It's the Pixies on Vintage Sound 93.1 FM. Here comes your man, 839. Tony Tone Show from the Unity Point Health Studios. If you go to Dairy Queen a lot, which I've been known to because it's right near Fuller Park. So what happens is we go to the park, and then my 3-year-old Henry, I'm like, hey, should we get an ice cream cone? And he's like, yeah. So we go, and I've noticed, and maybe you have too, that a new business was going in right next to Dairy Queen. And I thought, okay, I wonder what that's going to be. Then I saw a sign with a tooth and a polar bear. And I thought, is this going to be a polar bear dentist? But it's not. It's Arctic Dental, and Dr. Jarod Johnson's in studio. Buddy, the logo's cool, man. I like it.
Yeah, so when I went to come up with an idea, I'm a pediatric dentist, so I wanted something that's fun for kids.
It's super fun.
I went to think about what some of my favorite things are, and one of my favorite animals is a polar bear, and, it just fit in great. And who wouldn't want to go work in a place that you love and kids love every day? So that's kind of what the design came up. Ended up crowdsourcing the logo out online. So they came in, a bunch of people would compete, come up with a logo, you pick 5, you work with them.
Sure.
And then you go down and you get it narrowed down to the one you want, and then you get,
that's awesome.
get the logo. So it turned out great for us. And just the other day, we had some kids walking by when we were out there pulling weeds, and one of the kids just go, "Oh, I love that polar bear." So I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah. So I have the website pulled up, arcticdental.com, and it's a tooth and then a little animated polar bear that looks very friendly. By the way, this is kind of like the polar bear that's gonna wait. Maybe you need to get a mascot, right? Have you thought about that yet? Yeah,
I looked at costumes, dressing up. They've got those.
They're a little pricey.
It'd get a little hot, too.
Yeah. So. Some of them have fans in them, and I sound like I'm setting myself up to offer to be the mascot. My afternoons are free. Maybe we work out a deal. But that maybe eventually you have what about a giant tooth? That would be cool.
Well, we actually do have a giant polar bear in our waiting room.
Nice.
I don't know if you've seen it on
Facebook.
Is
that the bookshelf thing?
Yeah, it's a large bookshelf,
cool.
and we got a lot of dental books. We got a lot of fun books for kids. Stuff that they can come in when they're waiting. We also have a TV in the waiting room, but they can come. Kids have loved it. They picked up books and they're sitting there in chairs reading them, and it's just friendly. It's awesome to have something that
the
kids
atmosphere.
Kids are gonna come in, see that bookshelf, and that's a place they want to be.
Yeah, all of a sudden maybe they forget why they're there, and that's okay. I mean, you want them to be comfortable. And I told you off the air that growing up, I had great dentists, and I was never stressed about going. My mom also did a good job, and I can almost remember the first time I went. I for sure remember the first time my brother went to the dentist, and he was nervous. And then you also said something that, like, if you're the older sibling, you don't want to terrorize the younger sibling, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes when we have the younger ones in, well, they kind of get a little anxious and they're a little scared, and I say, well, why is this? I was like, did your mom tell you this? And they're like, no. I was like, well, do you have an older brother or sister? Did they tell you this? And they go, yes. And I was like, well, do they like to pick on you? Yes. Do you think they're picking on you? And you can kind of shape them a little bit that way, but they kind of calm down and relax, and
it's awesome.
Just different ways of talking to kids that you learn through your training that
it's kind of like
help relax them a little bit.
Like you're doing an intervention too. Stop picking on your brother. Want him to relax when he comes here. So how do you come to be? Are you a Muscatine guy? How do you come to have the business where you're at right here in Muscatine? It's 2023 Cedar Plaza Drive.
Yeah, so I'm from Iowa City.
Okay.
So growing up, I went to West High, and we came down here, and I competed a lot in sporting events down here.
Sure.
And then our father-in-law is on the bank board here.
Nice.
And Dr. Mike Canales used to be a pediatric dentist in town. He's at the university. He was a big help in helping me get in further my education in pediatric dentistry. So when I was coming back, I went down and sat and talked to him. I said, you got all these dentists going to these big cities. That's not where the need is.
Right.
Give me some lists of towns that have a need, and Muscatine was on there.
Wow.
And
so Muscatine had a need for a pediatric dentist.
Yep, it actually has more people here than dentists, the ratio.
Okay.
From the last numbers that I have seen, I don't know if it's currently true. I don't know how often they run them, but for people to dentists, in the state of Iowa. So
holy cow. So now, as far as what your specialty, so pediatric dentistry, so like you're going to work with the kid, the first visit, right? I mean, and that should be at age 1. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So
we totally messed this up, Doc.
You can be okay. We'd like to get them in as soon as we can. So
Man,
the first visit,
I feel bad though, right?
It's good to give the you know, the child a dental home. Most falls happen between 2 to 3, so they have trauma. They already have somewhere set up to go.
Oh, that's a great
They're familiar
call.
with the office. They know who I am. They know who the staff is.
Sure.
And then also it's more for the parents. So if there's habits that are already developing, we can go ahead and give you some advice on those. Say, hey, let's work on this for the next time and see if we can improve this to try to prevent a lot of stuff. Because that's the big thing, is getting the kids in and talking to the parents, breaking those habits that, you know, that can save a lot if we can do that prevention to prevent some cavities. And we don't have to do treatment.
Oh,
and
man.
obviously, treating a 2 or 3-year-old with lots of cavities is very difficult. Oftentimes they have to be put to sleep or sedated.
I know, I was going to say, because they're 2 or 3 and they want to run around. Like my 3-year-old, I mean, he would probably think it's fascinating when he goes. And I was just talking to my wife on Facebook, and she said she's going to call this afternoon. So that's cool.
Wonderful.
She's going to call your place, get him set up, because he's got to get in. And he likes brushing his teeth. You know, I also told you he's got an Iron Man powered toothbrush that he thinks is cool, and we brush the teeth with him, so obviously he's not just willy-nilly doing whatever. But I think, so for me it's like this. So like my mom always made sure that we went to the dentist, and I didn't have to have braces, which was nice, because back in '95 in 5th or 6th grade, it was like I came back from summer, everybody had braces. I remember telling my mom, like, why don't I have braces? She's like, you don't need them. Because all my friends did, right? So I'm not saying that I can prevent my kid from needing braces, but it seems like if you can put them on that right track early on, they'll want to take care of their teeth, because, correct me if I'm wrong, you only really get 2 sets of teeth, right? You get the baby teeth, and then you get the adult teeth, for lack of a better word, and then that's it. There's not a 3rd set that's going to come in
unless you're a shark,
right?
Yeah. So,
but that's it, right?
We have 20 baby teeth that we get to use, and those teeth are important. They're important for, you know, the time you spend growing. Your child's going to go from, you know, diapers all the way up to, you know, almost as tall as you, or maybe even taller.
Right.
And they need those teeth to eat and get the nutrition for that period. And then they'll also start getting some of their permanent teeth. Usually around 5 or 6 is when they're starting to see those permanent teeth come in, and that transition happening. And then once they get those permanent teeth, that's it. And
you got to take care of them. I mean, I had one cavity, and then a filling that I had done years ago, like 2010, maybe, I can't remember. Somehow part of it broke. Anyways, long story short, I've had to have one root canal, and I will never again. Like, that was, it wasn't painful, but I just couldn't believe the process. I was like, I don't want to ever have to go through that. So now I'm kind of like anal about my teeth. I floss all the time. People think it's weird, but I feel like if you go to the dentist and they tell you that you don't have to floss, you're doing something right? You don't have to be like, you probably need it, because you don't want to, you know, you're not trying to be rude as a doc, but on the other end, you don't want to hear, like, you probably should floss more. You're like, oh, man, I thought I was doing it enough. Like, once a week probably isn't enough, right?
Yeah, we recommend flossing once a day. And with the kids, if not all the kids' teeth are touching, spacing in the baby teeth is actually a great thing. Okay. Talking about maybe needing orthodontics, maybe not. That's something that might help your kid be on the side, maybe not. Okay. And they still might, but spacing in the teeth is a great thing. But the teeth are touching. It's usually in the back. Sometimes the front ones are. Right. But that's where we want to get in there. They have some floss holders you can get in with the kid and get in between the teeth. Because 60% of the decay in baby teeth is in between the teeth. Oh. So that's why flossing is important in the baby teeth too.
And again, I like flossing, but sometimes you're like, man, how did that get stuck? You know what I mean? It's gross, but you're like, how did that get stuck in that spot? Right? You're like, I was flossing, and then I was like, I got to pull it, and then all of a sudden, you know, a piece of a steak came out or whatever it was. I don't know how it gets trapped there, but that's why I do it all the time, you know. Plus, I'm out a lot, and I've always heard that people notice, your smile first, right?
Yeah, that's one of the first things a lot of people will say in studies that they notice first. Something that, you know, if you take care of, it can be a great asset to you, you know, moving forward, meeting people. Sure. And something that is important for your kid if in school, you know. Yeah, you don't. We also go through that, you know, they call it, I guess, probably shouldn't call it this, but they used to call it the ugly duckling stage when you're losing your front teeth. Right. You know, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth, that kind of stuff. You know, so kids notice that, and I remember going through that stage when I was a kid, and I didn't have the front teeth, and it's just, you know, it's a time of growth, but it's also a time of excitement when you're getting your adult teeth.
It's super awkward when you lose that front tooth or both of them. And you're right. No, I hadn't thought about that. And for me, I always had kind of like a little space between my front teeth so I could shoot water. And I thought it was cool, but then I kind of got paranoid. Like, is this going to stay? And but then eventually, like, everything came together, which was nice. But for a little bit, I thought, oh, man, like, this is cool. And it wasn't a huge gap, you know what I mean? But it was enough to shoot water. At the time, I hit at parties, right, at a pool party. But as I got older, I was like, I really hope this doesn't stick around. Okay, so you just opened this week, right?
Yeah, we just started seeing our first patients this week.
Wow. How's it been, by the way? Muscatine's a great community. Hopefully you're feeling that already.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So we had our open house with the chamber. I met with the chamber actually back last, I think it was December.
Okay.
Met with them, and they've been helping get connected to certain things to do in the community.
Sure.
Central State Bank and Dan Stein's been amazing. We were down here one week. He said, hop in my car, let's go for a tour. He drove us around town for an hour before we were, finally chose the area.
Yeah.
Also, our lawn care company, Lincoln Lawn, has been helping out quite a bit. When I was in Las Vegas, and I'm obviously I can't mow the lawn or plow the snow when I'm out in another state.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just Lee Agency, tons of other companies locally here that working with that I'm going to continue to work with. They're helping support me, and
that's good.
Getting people in the right places in the community.
Well, I think,
help out.
For me, I've only been here like 3 years. This is my wife's hometown. I worked on the radio in the Quad Cities for a long time, grew up outside Chicago. I don't feel like I want to go anywhere. I love this community. It's great. People, and you're just kind of getting your feet wet. People are so nice, and you'll be amazed at how they come together on things, and they care. And then when you have a new business like Arctic Dental, it's exciting. You probably have people come in that are just walking in like, oh, this is cool. And they're like, hi, can I help you? No, I'm just checking it out. Don't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah,
right?
Actually, last week we were still setting stuff up, and we had a patient from the old River Rehabilitation come in.
Yeah.
We was their building. It was kind of like, well, we're in the wrong office, but nice to meet you. But it was good.
That's awesome.
To see people come in, and it's exciting to have the doors open now and have that
right?
happen.
Yeah, have it happen and get people excited about coming to see you. Again, so it's Arctic Dental, 2023 Cedar Plaza Drive, right near Dairy Queen and Fairway, 563-607-5979. You're on Facebook. You're online at arcticdental.com. And easiest way for people like, my family, should we just call to become a new patient? Can you do it online? What would you say?
Yeah, so right now, we're just call. I'm still working out the kinks in the software. We're hopefully going to be able to have registration online, but we got to keep everyone's information secure. So we're working on that. Got to keep that a top priority.
That's awesome.
But calling is probably the easiest way. If you're not able to call, you could shoot us an email, and then we can get a call to you. So
or just stop by, right? I mean, you're there.
You can stop in if you want. We'll see if we can. If we have patient schedule, we may not be able to take care of that time. But
sure.
We'd definitely be able to get something set up for you.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm happy for you. And again, if you have kids going into kindergarten or 9th grade, the state of Iowa says you got to go to the dentist, right? Isn't that how it works?
I think that's a positive thing.
Sure.
The Academy of Pediatric Dentistry supports the school exams. It's great because right now is a perfect time to pick out if we have something that's obvious that's going to cause problems.
Right.
Pain, swelling, stuff we want to avoid. It's the summer. We can take care of that, not having to take them out of school to do that. So it's perfect timing to get back in and get them in so we can take care of some stuff that may be problematic when they get back to school. Because I don't want, a kid sitting in class not being able to pay attention because their tooth hurts.
Yeah, and nor do you want to. You're absolutely right about doing it over the summer. I think that's a great point, especially, you being open now and there's still like a month left. That's an opportune time to get in, and if there is something, God forbid, address it, get it taken care of, and then you show up to school and you got a cool story, rather than it's like the first week and then you're pulled out of class because you don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for kids. I know. For me, when I was in summer, I was kind of ready to go back winding down at the end of it. And this time they have a super long summer.
I know. It's ridiculous, right?
It's kind of drive some parents nuts. Like, when am I going to get these kids back into school?
Parents are they're like, all right, this is getting a little ridiculous here. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is a much longer break. But I was also kind of in the same boat. Like, you're like, all right, time to see my friends.
Yeah.
See if there's any new kids, right? Or everybody shows up with braces. I can't tell you, man, 5th grade. I can't remember if it was 5th or 6th, but I think it was 5th. And like literally, if you would look at that class, if there were 40 kids, I would say 75% of them had braces. And then there's me.
I didn't have them either. I lucked
Oh, you
out
didn't?
too,
See,
so.
right? Okay, so I'm not alone. I have a little, like, if I look...
Yeah, I got some spaces, and it's not perfect.
I have a
but
slight overbite, but, like, you know, I guess I ended up saving my parents some money, so they were excited. And now, right, it's come full circle, because now as a dad, I got the 3-year-old, and then I have a almost 8-month-old, and now I want to make sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of times, if we lose a baby tooth early, it can cause a lot of orthodontic problems and stuff like that. So we really want to get them in.
What would be early for losing a baby tooth?
Well, so if it's before a certain tooth, it depends on each kid.
Okay.
So it depends if they're 4 or 5 and they lose a tooth, they can lose space, and then some permanent teeth can be blocked out. So that's stuff we want to.
Holy cow!
We want to try to prevent. So we can do a lot with preventing things. And
yeah, I didn't know that.
That's kind of where I'm at. Is let's
prevention.
Prevention.
Yeah, that's good to know, man. I feel.
And
like
then if we do have a problem, we'll do something to help prevent that space loss if we can.
Yeah, maybe you give them a little bling bling, a little gold tooth. Do you have any of those over there?
We got silver ones, and then we got
Okay.
some silver bands too.
I don't need a gold tooth. I just thought that that seems like more of a back in the day thing, right? A gold.
Yeah, some people have out in Las
Some
Vegas
people-
are requesting the silver teeth for all their kids. But
Just to make it clear, Arctic Dental, you don't do grills, right? You're not doing grills. No.
typically no.
Okay,
we're
good.
not in that business.
Unless I ask nicely. All right, arcticdental.com, 2023 Cedar Plaza Drive, 563-607-5979, and on Facebook. Doc, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a piece of cake, isn't it, being on the radio?
Yeah,
It's
fun
way
talking to you.
easier than going and doing your job. I know you love being a dentist, but this is fun, right? You get
I
over
don't know
there.
if I could do it all day.
Well, you're welcome to stay if you want to. I got no problem with that. 8:55 at Vintage Sound. We're taking a quick break, and coming up in about 25 minutes, Beverly D'Angelo from the Vacation movies. Hang on.
From the